Well, good evening and thanks for joining us here on News 20 on GTN. We've got a great show for you. Joining me to my right, we have Melvi Shahid, CEO and founder of the Empowerment Network. Glad you could join us. It's been a while since you've been on.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you for inviting me back out.
Great to see you. And to your right, we have Lorraine Hall. You're the radio talk show co-host of this gentleman for his show on the Empowerment Network, and what we're going to talk about here, prostate. So I feel sorry for you from the start.
I can't empathize with you. Unfortunately, I don't have a prostate.
But what I'm saying is you have to deal with this gentleman for an hour on the radio show.
Oh my God, it's like having a prostate. No,
Whoa.
but yes, yeah, no, I'm sorry, no, we're going to be friends.
Yeah, we're going to be friends
We're going to
today.
be friends.
All right, let's talk real quickly, Melvi, about how this all came about. I've known you for many years now,
Right.
About 6 or 7.
About 6 years.
And you started this from the ground up. It's amazing to see where you've gotten it. Let's talk about the history of it.
Well, you know, Randy, on this very show, I was a 6-month prostate cancer survivor, and I told my story about in 2007 how this disease invaded my body. It invaded my body. I was given 2 years to live. And I made a covenant with the creator of the heaven and the earth that I would, if he healed my body, restored my health, and gave me a second chance, that I would come back and help to educate and inform the men in our community about this disease called prostate cancer.
And that's 6 years later now. What's it like to hear those words? You've got 2 years.
It was devastating. It was shocking. I never had a sick day in my life. I'm a retiree from Chrysler Corporation of 33 years. I run a small business. So to hear those words, they devastated me. They devastated me. And it's the same devastation that men in our nationally acclaimed support group, those are the same words that they hear that really alters your life. And it makes you wonder, you know, is this the end? Am I going to die? And that's the reason why we need support. That's the reason why we needed a support group, and I am blessed that the Empowerment Network has the largest support group possibly in the Midwest and in the St. Louis community.
Did you ever think when you started this thing that it would grow into what it is today?
Brandon, I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea that 6 years later, prostate cancer would now become a conversation. It's a conversation in the community. Men are now talking about it. Men now are taking that simple blood test called the PSA test, and it's that test that is now saving lives of men all over the city of St. Louis. And greatly is due to the Empowerment Network and to this great walk that we're going to talk about in a few minutes, the 2013 Prostate Cancer Survivors and Awareness Walk, sponsored by a great organization, the 100 Black Men of Metropolitan St. Louis.
Lorraine, I want to touch with you. We
Sure.
talked before we went on the air about Melvi and his determination and how this has really opened the door for a lot of guys to step up and talk about things that they never really would talk about before. As
Right.
a woman, do you have that general consensus about a man? And how has this organization changed the aspect of that?
You know, it's really great what's going on with this organization. And my experience has been with my father, with most men in my life, that if you don't talk about it, it'll go away. Prostate cancer, being the type of cancer that it is, and some of the symptoms are very, very sensitive to men. And with the Empowerment Network empowering men to have that conversation, I often describe it as talking like at the table when you're drinking coffee. That's what we are moving toward. We want to empower the men to communicate about their health, and it's general conversation. It's so important. Women, we get together and we will talk about anything. We have no problem with that, but men, it's so difficult to get them to open up and talk. Well, when you come to a monthly survivors meeting, it is awesome. Truly awesome to see all the men sharing what they have in common, and that's this illness, this disease of prostate cancer, and being empowered to share and to ask questions. What was it like for you? That's what the Empowerment Network does, and that's what it means to me, and that's why I'm so proud to be a part of it.
Melvie, no matter what kind of cancer it is, if you find it early, that's always the key. What would you say to guys out there, and we've talked about this every time you've been on the show, that are sitting around saying, well, this isn't going to happen to me. Why should I get checked?
Well, I would say early detection is the best protection. Early detection saved my life, and it saved many lives of the men that have walked through the doors of our monthly support group meeting. So we're encouraging men to take that simple blood test, because it's that simple blood test that can save their life. And that's the reason why the 2013 Prostate Cancer Survivor Walk Run, see, this year we're gonna run, is so important to the St. Louis community. It's August the 10th, and we got a new location that we'll be kicking off. Help me with that.
At the Chaffetz Arena.
Chaffetz Arena. I'm always messing that word up. But at the Chaffetz Arena, the 100 Black men will be there. We'll be giving the men in St. Louis a gift that day. Absolutely free PSA test from the Siteman Cancer Center. And it might be that PSA test that day that saves their lives.
We'll give all the information a little bit later in the show, again, about the date and times of the run and how you can get signed up for that. Just get a pen and a piece of paper. We'll give you that later in the show. But when you look at how that has grown, what's it make you feel like, Melvie, to stand back and see that event grow from what it was to what it is now, and to know that you're the man behind this?
Well, Randy, all of this is a dream of mine, honestly. It's all a dream to know that God has given me my life a purpose. And not only along with the purpose comes a mission. And my mission is to inform, is to educate, and it's to empower men in our community about a disease that has been claiming lives of men for years. Before the emergence of the Empowerment Network, prostate cancer was only a whisper in our community.
Yes.
Now, that disease has a voice, and that voice airs each and every week on WGNU 920 AM, closing the gap on prostate cancer in our community, and it's hosted by myself and the lovely and the talented Lorraine Hall. We're there on the radio, and we're educating the public each and every week about this devastation of this disease by bringing great doctors, medical experts, organizations and groups to the show.
Dietitians, yeah.
And we'll give some more information about that also, where you can hear it at a little bit later in the show. But are you surprised when you're doing your radio show that when people are listening and giving you feedback, that so many people kind of have their head in the sand about things like this that are so important? It seems like people spend more time spending, developing their vacation or what they're going to have for dinner than calling their doctor to find out about something that could truly save their life.
Well, I coined the term back in the day, and I think it's going to come true now, especially since WGNU now is becoming an all-sports channel. You remember back in the day I said that as men, we talk about what's going on in the NFL, in the NBA, and the WBA, but we don't talk about the PSA. We don't talk about health-related issues. We don't talk about health-related topics, and that's the reason why I'm so excited now that we're going to be bringing sports and health together. That's a winning team, man.
And for you, as I mentioned in the open about dealing with Melvie,
oh my God,
I can only imagine what he's like on the radio.
Yes.
What's it like for you to hear the success stories and maybe some of the failure stories of gentlemen who have gone through this, and some have survived, some haven't?
Well, women are more outwardly emotional, so my emotions show, and it's awesome for me. And oftentimes when I go to a monthly meeting and I hear a testimony of a man, of a newly diagnosed patient, it only instills in me, this is your mission from God. You are where you're supposed to be. This is my answer. And so for me, every month I'm just exhilarated after a monthly meeting, because I know that in spite of this devastation and this diagnosis, that something good is coming out of it, and that's educating and empowering men to talk about it. And when you start talking about it, then you do something about it.
Most men feel, well, this is only affecting me. And this is a big part
Exactly.
of this whole conversation. Is
Exactly.
that it's not just affecting you.
Yeah.
It's affecting your wife, your kids, your mother,
You're
your father,
not in this
your
alone.
friends, everybody who loves you. If something happens to you, it affects them. And that's what I try to get across to a lot of people about something like this, is that
Right.
circle is much bigger than just yourself.
Than just yourself. You're absolutely right. And we do have women that from time to time attend the meeting, and they're great supporters because we do health fairs, PSA testing and health fairs. And even at my church, we did a health fair and PSA testing. And a gentleman had high PSA scores, and it took his wife, that partner of his, to just beat him over the head and say, you are the head of our household. I will not lose you because you won't acknowledge that there's something wrong. Go to the doctor. So you're absolutely right. This affects so many more people than just the cancer patient.
And Randy, that's the reason why our mothers and our wives and our daughters are so important, because they give us that, and I call it a gentle push right into the doctor's office. Because sometimes we need a little push, but it's got to be a gentle. It can't be a shove like what you did. It's got to be.
Sometimes it has to.
But it has to be a gentle push. While they push us right into the doctor's office, because it's just gentle push that could possibly save our lives.
And it affects every single person.
It does. It does.
I'm
Yes.
always, for 20 years, been on this show touting that subject.
Right.
And it took my wife pushing me to the verge of
Yeah.
when I had my heart attack deal, of going. And if I wouldn't have gone when I did, something way worse could have happened.
Could have happened, right.
So-
Well, that's that partnership that we all need. We need somebody to balance us out, but especially, some of our men that just don't want to talk about their health.
All right, let's talk about the book here and
Okay.
your coordination with so many different organizations now that have really propelled you to the next level.
Well, a part of this great walk that the 100 Black Men has been doing for the last 11 years is that they give out a small grant to groups and organizations throughout the city of St. Louis to develop projects and awareness campaigns around prostate awareness. So the Empowerment Network, along with St. Louis University School of Public Health, we came up with this project, and this is a teaching tool. This is an educational tool that our survivors use at the different health fairs to educate men on simple terms on like what is a prostate, what's the function of a prostate, talking about some of the risk factors, some of the symptoms, and some of the warning signs. This is a flip chart presentation, and we also do it in a PowerPoint presentation, because one of the things that we noticed even in our focus group, Randy, is that men were getting the prostate mixed up with the colon. they were getting it all mixed up because for so long, like I said, prostate health had only been, it wasn't a conversation in our community. Now it's a conversation.
As far as getting the screening, and you can learn much more, they can find out more information, of course, at the website. Let's give that out so they can have a place to go to as a reference.
Well, it's www.theempowermentnetwork.net.
Okay, and we'll put that up throughout the show here on the screen so you can visit that to find out more information about all the events, including the walk that's coming up in August. But do you find that gentlemen respond more to a visual type presentation?
Oh, definitely.
Definitely, because
Yes.
it's pictures. It's full of pictures. And pictures, picture language was our first language. So so we educate around pictures, and those pictures have become a conversation, because you change the conversation of a disease by engaging in conversation to get men to
Right.
talk about it, and that's what we wanted them to do. We wanted them to talk about it, and then to be about getting tested.
And the testing, whether you come to this event, there are places where you can get this done for free. So there's really no excuse.
There is no
No
excuse.
excuse.
We bring the testing to you, to the community. We're not asking you at all times. We're not asking everyone to go to the clinics, to go to the hospital, to go to your doctor's office. We bring it to you. We bring the testing out in the community in different sites, different locations. We even take it to the churches. That's been one of our more powerful places, to take it to the church.
When you say PSA test, the first thing everybody thinks of, no matter what kind of test, needle, it's going to hurt, something bad's going to happen. Explain what that procedure is, to put everybody at ease.
Well, to get away from the medical terms, we say a simple blood test. It's just a simple blood test. It's not the digital rectal exam that most men fear. It's just a simple blood test. It's going to take 5 minutes to do, and those 5 minutes can save your life. But the most important part about that test is this right here, Randy. What's your number? And we try to educate men about not just taking the test, but to understand, what is my number? Knowing your number, and this is a yearly test. It should be taken every year, and to track your numbers, so that if that PSA, if your numbers start to elevate, you can be consciously aware that, hey, something might be going on and I need to get back to my doctor.
All right, to kind of turn back on the medical side of this, are there family factors that influence this number? Is it your eating, your exercise, smoking, like other cancers?
All of it. It's a combination of all of it. Family matters, definitely. I mean, if your father, your brother, your grandfather have had problems with their prostate, it's almost a shoe that you will also have problems with yours. Eating. There have been many tests done, and Melvie can talk to you more about the tests and the data that we use and we receive, and we have our experts, our doctors, our urologists talk about it, but that shows the higher numbers in the African American community and the underserved community. So there are a lot of factors that are a part of that diagnosis, and Melvie can elaborate a little more.
Well, family history is definitely one of the risk factors. And that's the reason why we encourage men, especially African American men, 35 years and older. Now, testing starts at 40, but if you have a family history of prostate cancer in your immediate family, we encourage men 35 and older to get tested. So one of your major risk factors is family history.
Now, is that 40 and then every year from
Every
then
year,
on?
every year. It's an annual test. It should be taken each and every year. And then, diet. Diet is a risk factor. Chemical exposure is a risk factor also. So there are many risk factors, but no one in the medical world really knows about what is causing prostate cancer, especially in the African American community, that is causing men in our community. This disease is an epidemic, Randy. It's an epidemic proportion. And men, we got to step up and take that simple blood test.
Randy, just a couple of months ago, we had a survivor on our radio show, a dear friend of Melvie's, and he told the story of how every last one of his brothers had been diagnosed, and 3 or 4 of them have passed with it. So that shows that, in the family and the trait, but every male in his family has been diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Melvie, being a survivor, is it something that's on your mind all the time that this could come back? And how much do you, 6 years later, monitor that number every year?
Once you're a survivor, and this is one of the things we teach our survivors in the support group. Once you're a survivor, you're always a survivor. We encourage the survivors in the listening audience to monitor their health. And it's all about total body wellness. Watching the PSA, watching the cholesterol, watching the blood pressure. After men get over the age of 40, we gotta watch the body. We gotta watch what we say, the numbers. Numbers are indicators in the body. Each and every one of those disparities represent a number. So numbers are great indicators, and if we watch those numbers, we will become a lot healthier.
One of our board members is a urologist, and one of the things that he spoke of was that there's this myth out there. Some men think that once you've gone through prostate cancer surgery and you've had the surgery, that it can't come back. Well, I don't have a prostate gland anymore. It can't come back. That's not true. And that's why it's so important to keep getting your annual test.
What is it like for you, and what kind of feedback have you heard from individuals who have come to the events, had this test, been diagnosed or indicated high numbers, and then they come back to you? What's that conversation like?
Well, the conversation is, they're grateful, they're thankful. They become a part of the organization. They become a part of the support group. And many of those men now are servants of the community, and they're giving back, Randy. And that's the beautiful thing about our support group. Our support group are made of, we call them ambassadors. They have become ambassadors for prostate awareness in the St. Louis community, and they're ambassadors through their service of giving back to the community, reaching back and educating another man and encouraging him to get tested.
You know, I can't open up a newspaper or a magazine or anything without seeing this guy in the picture getting some kind of an award for everything you're doing. Where do you hope to see this in the next 5 years from now, or the next 10 years from now?
I hope to see men become conscious and become educated about the importance of getting tested for this disease called prostate cancer, because it's that simple blood test that will be given out.
That was going to be my next thing. Let's talk about that walk.
Let's talk about that
and what they can expect on that day, because it's not just come down and you're there.
Right.
It's an event. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about the 11th annual Prostate Cancer Survivors and Awareness Walk and Run by a great organization, the 100 Black Men of Metropolitan St. Louis. 11 years of walking to save lives. Got a new location, the Chavis Arena.
Chavis
Arena. That's where we'll be walking at.
Yeah.
And it's a whole event. It's a whole weekend of events. So we're encouraging the community to bring out their families and come on down and let's get men tested for prostate cancer, and let's make this a family affair.
Right.
And free PSA test that
free
day.
PSA
Absolutely
testing.
free.
Also, what about the time on the event? And do they need to pre-register, or can they just show up?
We would prefer that you pre-register, but please don't hesitate, because you haven't come down. We have registration tables open.
As far as people watching this tonight, Melvie, what would you want them to leave this show with? Just the average person out there who this isn't on their mind every single day. What would you want them to step away from the night with?
Well, I think I would want them to step away with, that health is wealth. That that health is proactive, cancer is reactive. So we want men, we want women, we want families to take a second look at their health, and to monitor their health. And men, step up and get that free PSA test at this event, the 100 Black Men's Prostate Cancer Survivors and Awareness Walk Run, August the 10th. Come on down and let's make this a family affair.
We touched on it earlier, and we've talked about it on many different shows. No matter what kind of cancer that we talk about, is that early detection is key. I mean, in your terms, with you dealing with it so often and with so many people, are there rates and numbers that you could kind of put into some kind of proportion on how important that early detection is?
Well, according to statistics, about 238,000 new cases of prostate cancer will be diagnosed this year. 29,000 of those men will die from this disease. 1 in 6 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in his lifetime. It's the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths. And African American men, the numbers are 1 in 4, with 2.5 times more likely to die from this disease. And we have the highest rate of prostate cancer in the world. So we're encouraging men, especially African American men, to take that simple blood test, because it's that simple blood test called a PSA test that might save their lives.
What about being proactive with your doctor? A lot of times people just will go in and whatever the doctor says or orders, that's what they do.
Yeah.
Should you be proactive about this?
Well, everybody needs an advocate or an advocate. And so often we find in the St. Louis metropolitan area, in some of the underserved communities, that these are individuals, and not just men, that don't have an advocate or don't know how to advocate for themselves. So yes, you're absolutely right. And one of the things that we do in our monthly meetings, we encourage them to ask any question that you just don't know. No question is a bad question. You ask, just ask. I don't care what it is that you're asking. This is about your body, your health. You must ask the questions and understand what's going on with yourself.
And you've seen at these meetings, for most men, they want to close up. They don't want to talk about it. But has it helped you, Melvie? Of course it's helped you.
Right.
But do you see other guys who have maybe come to these meetings kind of closed up and then they talk about it and it just takes that load off their back?
Well, you know, at our support group meetings, Randy, we always start off in prayer. And we do something a little different. We start off with a little light humor. We got a guy in our support group that is hilarious. We call him Bernie Mac. And he lightens the crowd up with laughter. You know, because, you know, medical science has shown us that laughter is a great way to heal. You know, it boosts the immune system. It relaxes our survivors. Because many men come there just diagnosed with prostate cancer, so they're nervous. You know, they're on edge. So that this all helps to educate them. We bring the doctors in, and the doctors help to educate them about the devastation of this disease and their diagnosis.
As we start to wrap the show up here today, let's talk about your radio show, where they can find it, the time and channel.
Okay, WGNU, 9:20 a.m. each Sunday at 5 o'clock p.m., closing the gap on prostate cancer in our community. Health radio show with your host, Brother Melvie Shaheed, and the lovely and the talented Lorraine Hall. Yes. We're on there. We're mixing it up. Yeah. We have great health announcements from the community that comes into the show. The health fairs come into the show. We bring in doctors, we bring in educators, we bring in guests, and we bring in powerful prostate cancer survivor stories, Randy, to the airway.
Great stories.
Right.
Sundays at 5 on WGNU, and let's touch as we wrap up on the walk. There's no excuse not to be part of this.
None at all.
11 years of walking to save lives. The 2013 Prostate Cancer Survivors and Awareness Walk, sponsored by a great organization. The 100 Black Men of Metropolitan St. Louis will be walking August the 10th to save lives.
And Randy, it's not just for the men. Bring your wives, bring your children. This is for the family.
It's a family walk.
Thank you guys so much for what you're doing for the community. And Melvie, we'll have you on soon to talk about the success of this.
Sounds
we
good,
appreciate your time once again, Melvie Shaheed and Lorraine Hall from the Empowerment Network. Thanks for joining us tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you tomorrow right here on News 20 on G.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
It's time to join forces. Get energized and fuel up right. Because starting today, every kid in America has a mission. Bring out the action hero in you. part of the greatest action movie ever. The first movie that puts you in the action. Show us how you train and eat like an action hero. Join in at actionheroalliance.com.